Remember we said that the psychodynamic theory talks about human behavior. It is a behavioral theory. So by the stage of superego, you are conversant of what the society is expecting from you. You know the expectation of the society. Even if the id is pushing you to do something, you put that check on yourself. That is at the level of superego. And the last one is the ego. That is the unconscious tendency in human being. In fact, you do it without being conscious of doing it. Despite the fact that you have the consciousness in you, you know what the society is expecting from you. There are some things you just do them unconsciously. Unconsciously. You just do them. So this was about the psychodynamic theory of Sigmund Freud, the id, the superego, and the ego. The ego is the unconscious nature, while the superego is the conscious nature. And the id is, like we were told, the animalistic tendency or the inability to be able to control our desires. And that is when we're young. So that's why I said it's similar to that developmental stage too. But this one is not talking about the behavior we exhibit at these stages. The uncontrolled desire, the ability to control it, which is the consciousness, and even despite the fact that we know what the society is expected of us, there are some things we do unconsciously, and that is where the ego comes in. Do we understand that? That is psychodynamic theory. Then we also went to social extent theory. And I said, with this theory, it simply means that nothing goes for nothing. That every individual will weigh the benefit of whatever relationship they want to enter into to look at the cost benefit. If the benefits outweigh the cost, they go ahead. But if the cost outweigh the benefit, they stop that relationship. So that is what is meant by social extent theory. Social extent theory. And somebody said that social extent theory looks like rational choice theory. And I said, though I said I was going to stop at social extent theory, but because you asked that question, and I said, this has to do with choice. It might not have anything to do with even benefit. That everybody believes that his own choice is right, is rational. How somebody then who said he was going to get married, everybody was just telling him, boy, take it easy. Think do something. He said, no, it is now time for me to do it. I know now I still stay in the room. By the time I leave, I will get a flat. And then I will buy land. I begin to build my own house. I say, okay, not so easy. But to him, what he was doing was right. So talking about rational choice theory. Rational choice theory suggests that every decision is natural from the perspective of the decision maker. Everything. Even what other people are seeing, which you are not seeing, you don't see. And then they tell you, you don't want to believe it. You may even see them as a clog in your wheel of progress. So that talks about rational choice theory. And I think that was where we stopped last week. I want to know if there's any of the theories that we are not clear about. Although you have the recordings for last week's class, you can still listen to over and over. But if there's anyone you just want us to quickly look at now, you can do that. If there's anyone you don't understand. Anybody? Anyone?
Sir, sorry, when you talk, sorry, sir. Good morning, good afternoon, sir. So when you talk about heed, ego, and superego, the spelling of that heed is heed, because I can't see it
The
in the
spelling of what?
heed under
Id
the
is
psycho
ID.
ID. Okay,
Yes.
okay, sir.
Okay, you're welcome. So, is there any other question? I think I can continue, Abby.
Yes, I'll continue.
Okay, thank you. So the next one, okay, we look at how is theory applied in social work. In addition to social work theories, there are practice models. There are roadmaps that help social workers apply social work theories into their daily work. There are multiple practice models that are common within social work, each one providing a different approach for understanding behavior, resolving issues, and improving outcomes. Your line of work and what you are trying to accomplish may determine which social work models you are most frequently with. For example, some practice model focus on goal setting, while other models are focused on the connection between emotions and actions. Together, social work theories and models function as valuable tools for putting theory into action. Since each client's problems, motivations, and issues are unique, no single practice method works for every situation. As a social worker, as a social worker, you may need to assess the client's individual needs to determine which approach is most likely to provide a positive outcome. Like I said last week, that models are practical steps to take in our intervention. They are the practical steps. You may see theory as abstract, but the theory also will be what will influence even your model. But the models here are practical steps that we need to take with our client. Because when I say we need to, you still need to follow up and see if whatever model you have adopted is being followed by your client. So you are monitoring and evaluating what your client is doing. And the first one we are looking at is cognitive behavioral therapy. They call it CBT. Cognitive behavioral therapy. You know, with this, you may need to work on some thoughts that has led to negative behavior in your client, and try to replace work on your client by telling your client what and what to read, what and what to watch, where to go to. You get it? With that, you are trying to modify the thought, because you are what you are exposed to. You are what you see. What you read will influence your thoughts, and your thoughts will determine your actions. So cognitive behavioral therapy focuses on how thoughts and feelings influence behavior, which can sometimes lead to physical problems. Social workers using cognitive behavioral therapy methods help clients identify self-destructive thoughts. You help them to identify those thoughts that can destroy them. That is what we call self-destructive thoughts. Godwin Ubigu, are you saying anything? Okay. So as a social worker, you help identify self-destructive thoughts that influence negative behaviors. Cognitive behavior
There was the student. Network.
Okay, the network.
Hmm.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Okay, fine.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Are you still seeing my slide?
No.
No.
Yes, sir.
Because I'm in
No.
Nigeria, that's why we're having network issue. Don't worry, let me share. What about now? Are you seeing it now?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
fine.
Sir.
So we've talked about cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. It's like you trying to modify the thoughts of your client, those thoughts that could lead to, destructive behavior in them. So you identify those self-destroying thoughts that influence the negative emotion and behavior. Cognitive behavior therapy is often used for individuals who are experiencing mental health issues. Oluwatoyin, I will remove you from this class. Oluwatoyin, Abi Oluwatosin rather. So we said CBT is used for clients experiencing mental health issues, mental illness or depression resulting from crisis or trauma. Social workers using cognitive behavioral therapy help their clients eliminate negative thoughts to prevent destructive behaviors and adverse outcomes. So the next one is crisis intervention model. The crisis intervention model is used for clients who are experiencing crises and trauma, such as victims of domestic violence. They may just sit down and they remember that scene and something happened to them. The scene keep playing in their mind. The scene keep playing in their mind. So such model, which is crisis intervention model, oh my God. Blessing, mute your mic. Okay. The crisis intervention model is used for clients who are experiencing crisis and trauma, such as victims of domestic violence, and for clients who require intervention to prevent physical harm or suicide. Those who are having this suicide mind, you use crisis intervention model for them to know what has actually happened, what they are going through. For clients who require intervention to prevent physical harm or suicide, they may decide to just take their life, going through depression. What is leading to it? What has caused it? It's a crisis. And as a social worker, You must know how to intervene. Robert R. Robert and Alan J. Orton developed a 7-stage crisis intervention model. The first they talk about take a psychosocial and lethality assessment. Look at this, the psychological and the social, assessment of the client. What is happening in his environment, in his social milieu, that is leading to that? Is he his family? Is he his place of work? Is he in school? Is anybody, if it is a child, is he being bullied by anybody in school? You take the psychosocial and lethality assessment. What is happening? What is happening? You can't just jump and say, okay, this is what we are going to do. You are expected to do your assessment. You are expected to do your assessment as a social worker. After that, you take at the necessary is rapidly establish a rapport. Somebody who is having suicide, thoughts, or want to harm himself or herself. After you have identified what is the cause from your assessment, you rapidly establish what? A rapport, a good rapport with the person, so that the person will open up to you and he will develop that confidence in you. He will develop that confidence in you. If your client doesn't have confidence in you, all your section with your client will not amount to anything. You will not achieve anything, because your intervention is based on whatever information you are able to get from your client. So you develop a rapport. That's the second stage. That second stage, develop a rapport with your client. Then you will have that confidence to open up to you. You have that confidence to open up to you. You get it? We have that confidence to open up to you. Then number 3, identify the major crisis cause. You said number 1, take a psychosocial and lethality assessment. The physical, the psychological, and what is actually bringing about this death, bringing this evil thought, this suicidal thought. You assess it. After that, you establish a rapport with your client. You become friendly with your client, so that you can, the person will have that confidence to share with you whatever he or she is going through. Then number 3 is identify the major crisis cause or causes. What is responsible for this crisis? Number 4, enable the client to express their feelings and emotions. Such could lead to weeping, crying. Because by the time they are telling you what actually happened to them, they begin to shed tears. They'll be crying. Please don't tell them stop crying. You don't tell your client to stop crying, because if you know or you don't know, crying is a therapy. As the person is crying, shedding tears, is releasing some, the emotion that is causing pain. The best you can just is just to allow the person to release them. You can give the person a tissue to enable the client to express their feelings and emotions. Then number 5, generate and explore safe alternative for coping. You are not going to impose anyone on your client. you can generate with him different options. After that, you tell him or her the pros and the cons of each of the options you have been able to generate. And if both of you now arrive at one, then that one will be adopted. Then number 6, create an action plan. You have generated the coping alternatives. Now, it is now time for your client to begin to take action based on your conclusion, based on the alternatives you have generated. Then after that, it is follow up after intervention. That is where you as a social worker need to follow up. Make sure that what you have arrived at in number 6 or in number 5, the action is being taken in number 6, then you follow up. That is what your follow-up is all about. Do we understand this crisis intervention model? Hello? Hello?
Sir, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, we do, sir.
Me, I say the only women they understand everything at the top of class. We are the men.
Yes, sir.
I don't understand though. In fact, this model, once immediately you started this model, everything I got lost.
Which of the model? This is number 2 model we're talking about. Which
When
of
you
the
started,
2?
when you started from the beginning about from the theories, when you said that apart from theory, so I didn't understand how you the topic was how is theory applied in social work. Then I didn't really get much about how theories are applied in social work before you went into the model. So I didn't get
theory what?
how theories are applied in social work. So I don't get the connection with from
model.
theories yes, I don't get the connection.
Please, can anybody help us in the class? I think from what you have done so far today, let somebody explain to her, at least if that explanation is okay, fine. If not, then I will come in again. Just for you, prove to me that those of you that you said you understood, can somebody just tell us what he or she understood from what we have done, how we related theory and models together? Can somebody help us out? Somebody, please.
Let me comment, sir.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Wanze.
Okay. Theory for social workers is just, we've talked about different theories. It's just saying, from inception when we started, we said theory is like a guide to help us solve a problem as a social worker. And he talked about, our lecturer talked about different types of theory. That simply means that if there is a problem, theory gives you an insight into how you can navigate through to solve the problem. So he talked about the fact that in social work, we borrowed theory from different fields, sociology, psychology, and he talked about, I won't go to the general theory, the grand theory he has talked about, because he talked about social learning, he talked about system. Now he now talked about model. Now, because social work is a practice-based, that simply means if you have cases or you have crises, models are the practical steps that has been tested over time to solve a problem. And the first model that he talked about, I don't know whether it's my line that is making noise. Apologies.
No problem, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. So the first one he talked about the cognitive behavioral therapy. He said, as a social worker, when you have a client and you want to use the CBT, what you will be looking out for is the thoughts of the person. What is the thinking? You are looking at the thinking of the person and you are looking at what are the wrong and the right thoughts based on your assessment of, oh, this person is thinking about this. And if this person continue to think along this line. If it is a suicidal thought, that means that the thought may be illegal or may be dangerous for the person. So he said the CBT is trying to see how to influence and change the thought of the person towards what can actually help him. So the difference between model the difference between model now is that, like I said, from theory it's like a let me use the word like I don't want to use conceptual framework. It's like a map. If you are on a ship, if you are going somewhere and you have the direction, theory is giving you, as somebody who is practicing, pointing you to the direction or how to actually solve the problem. So he's saying if you have like a gender-based violence or somebody is thinking a suicidal thought, CBT is telling you, if you want to use CBT or the cognitive behavioral therapy, is telling you, how can I eliminate the wrong thought in this client? So you can point out those thoughts and see how you can replace the wrong thoughts. Then the crisis model is talking about the fact that if you have a crisis situation, is now saying that there are different steps that you need to do, different steps that you need to take. First of all, he said there is an assessment that is called psychosocial assessment, that you need to conduct that assessment. It's like you tick, okay, this is gender, you tick those assessments, and that assessment gives you a general overview of the situation. And he's also saying part of the steps is that you build a rapport. You need to have a situation where the person can freely relate and come out with what is in their mind, because if the person is still holding back information, you may likely not be able to provide a solution. And this is to help you identify the thought stages. It is only when you are able to build relationship and rapport with this person that you can identify the major concern or the major issues in that person. And that's why the rapport stage is very important. And the fourth one, he said, you should always allow our clients, we should always allow them to express. If they want to cry, let them cry. If they want to, because part of that cry in itself is like helping them, letting out issues within them. And number 5, it says create and explore safe alternative for coping. For those of us in the field, we always do what we call case management. And within those case management form, we do the assessment to understand the situation. That is when we now create an intervention plan to say, okay, I have done this assessment. This is where the problem is. Okay, the intervention plan will help you create a solution. Okay, this person will need to meet a doctor. Okay, how are we going to support the person? Oh, this person needs to ensure that they follow their drug, and just citing the example of what can be in the plan. Then when you create the plan, we now follow up to say, okay, what is because the plan will have a time frame, what you need to do, who is supposed to help you, whether you are going to refer, then you now follow those plans. But the most important thing here is that the model gives you an insight into what to do when you identify or come across a problem. I don't know if this enlightening put an insight. Thank you, and over, sir. I'm not sure if our lecturer is still. Okay.
Thank you so much, Anthony Wanse. You really broke it down. I think I understand now. So, in summary, what you're saying is that while theories are guides, so to solve a problem, like when we have a problem, we can repeat theories to know how to go about the problem.
The problem, yes.
Models are the steps we need to take in
They
solving
are the
this
practical
problem.
steps.
Yeah,
the
practical
practical.
steps.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. We need to take in to solve this problem,
Yeah.
depending on the problem. problem with
Depending on
determining
the situation, we determine the theory. The circumstance we determine. You will now think, okay, which of the theory can best help me solve this problem? Is it the CBT? Is it related to suicide thoughts? Can I use the CBT to eliminate that suicide thought in the life in this client? So it is the situation that will determine, and that's why as social
that will
workers we
determine
need
the
to
model.
understand that will determine the model. Thank you.
Okay.
Over.
Thank you.
I now see why Mr. Nwanze was telling me about 2 weeks ago that, sir, apart from the theory, you know, we are still going to talk about models. And I told him, okay, models still there inside this material. And you can see from the example he used now, for those of them on the field, everything in this crisis intervention model is what they apply on the field, if I'm correct, Mr. Nwanze.
You are right, sir.
Everything in this, because if you don't create a rapport, you will fail your assessment and your what's it called, your meeting with your client. You won't get anything out from him or her. Then from that, your rapport, from that, that rapport you have created, then the person will be free to open up to you. One thing there is your oath of secrecy. You don't go about discussing what your client has, revealed to you, because it is part of the confidence and the trust, you need to build between you and your client. So after you have identified the cause, you allow your client to express themselves emotionally and to express their feelings and emotions. Then from there, you now generate different alternatives, explore different alternatives, coping alternatives, from which with your client, all these, you don't do them alone. In social work, we don't impose anything on our client. We reason with them, we discuss together. That's why I say you tell them the pro and the cons of whatever, alternatives you have come up with. And both of you arrive at the one that is best for the situation. Then after you have decided that, then create an action plan. From now to now, this is what you're expected to do, because you don't have eternity for your clients. You still have other clients to attend to. So you create an action plan. If it is a 6 months, a 3 months, so you monitor the first 2 weeks. This is what you're expected to do. This is what you're expected to do. And you monitor to see that the person is following.
I don't know if it is my network.
His network is bad.
I think so. I'm not hearing anything again.
Sorry, so Anthony Nwanze, sorry, so at what point do we now use the theory to solve problems? Anthony Nwanze, are you there?
Yes, I'm with you. Okay,
Okay.
our lecturer is here. Maybe let's talk.
Okay, all right, later.
So now we look at narrative therapy. Narrative therapy is the process of helping the individual recognize that they have the power to change their life story, also known as the narrative. Narrative therapy helps individuals realize that they are separate from their problems and can fix them when they view the narrative from an outside perspective. What this model is saying is like you telling your client, you are different from what is happening to you. You are not your problem. It's like somebody who made a mistake and is still living with that mistake even after everything has been settled. That person has not separated himself from his narrative. You get it? And as a social worker, you are working on the psychic of your client. It's like football coach. They are psychologists. You see, when the players play badly, you see the coach will still feature the player the following week, trying to tell the player, you are not bad. That just happened. Let me use one player. I'm sorry that I'm going into football, but at least we use anything to explain things. There was this player in England, a Nigerian player, Bukayo Saka. He lost a penalty for England, the national team. And when they returned to his club, that is when his coach now made him the penalty taker of the club. So he's trying to separate him from the error he has made. You are not that error. So as a social worker, we must know how to separate our client from their error. Change that narrative. Narrative therapy is the process of helping an individual recognize that they have the power to change their life story. They have the power to change their narrative. Narrative therapy helps individuals realize that they are separate from their problems. There is problem, but you are not that problem. That problem is not you. That problem can be fixed and you still remain yourself and that problem is gone. I'm talking like a counselor already, like a therapist already. You are not your problem. We can fix it and you keep going and that problem is gone. Not that you continue mourning over that problem. No. Narrative therapy helps individuals realize that they are separate from their problems and can fix them when they view the narrative from an outside perspective. Using narrative therapy, a social worker can help an individual create a new narrative with different positive action. Because you can't continue doing the same thing and expect different results. So for you to change your narrative, you must be ready to have a positive action that is different from the negative action that led to that narrative you are holding in your hand. The social workers enable the individual to understand how the broader context is contributing to their narrative so that they can be aware of pitfalls to avoid and can utilize various strategies to tackle their problems. So they have to begin to take positive actions to erase that negative narrative they had, and they create a positive narrative for themselves. So you must be able to change the thinking and change what they are doing for them to change their narrative. For a student who is very poor and he or she has seen himself or herself as a failure, you tell that student, you are not a failure, you are different from that. If you are ready to take these positive actions, you will discover that failure will be a thing of the past in your life and people will begin to see you as a success. So you can use narrative therapy in such situation. Do we understand that? Hello?
Hello. Yes, sir. We understand
Yes.
you.
Okay. So the next one we are looking at is problem-solving model. Problem-solving model. The problem-solving model is not, let me say, it is not a model per se, but it talks about how to organize ourselves as social workers with our clients. We have a 6-step models, 6-step problem-solving models. What you do first, next. In fact, it is very similar to that crisis intervention model. If you look at this crisis intervention model, it looks exactly like problem-solving model. It's all about the stages, the steps. There is still a broader note on that. The problem-solving model was created by Ellen Harris Palman, a social worker and author of Social Casework. A problem-solving process using the problem-solving model. A social worker helps an individual identify the problem, create an action plan to solve it, and implement the solution. Together, the social worker and the individual discuss the effectiveness of the problem-solving therapy strategy and adjust it as necessary. The problem-solving models enables the social workers and individual to focus on one concrete problem at a time. So it talks about the stages, how you work together with your client, and how you can arrive at a positive solution. So this problem-solving model is just steps that we need to take together with our client. So that is problem-solving model. And it is applicable to all the models we have talked about. You must have the step, the problem-solving model, the steps you take, what comes first, what comes next, how you evaluate, how you assess, that talks about the problem-solving model. Then the 5th one here talks about solution-focused therapy. Solution-focused therapy. Solution-focused therapy involves the social workers and clients identifying a problem and creating a solution based on the individual strength. This is where the strength of your client is key, is germane. And as a social worker, you must understand the strength of your client. Two people can come to you at different times with the same problem, but they have different strengths. So the solution you are suggesting for client A will not be the same solution you'll be suggesting for client B. Even if it is the same thing, they don't have the same strength. So you need to understand their strength first. It is a short-term practice model that focuses on helping clients cope with challenges using specific behaviors. Instead of focusing on changing who a client is, solution-focused therapy attempts to change a client's action in certain situations to achieve more favorable outcomes. You are not changing the client, but you are changing the client's action. And changing the actions, you need to understand the strength of your client. Collaborating to create solutions allow the client to play an active role in implementing necessary actions and achieving positive change. So something that is key here is the strength of your client. And it also enables your client to participate in it in order to achieve a positive change. You are not changing your client, like we said, but you are changing your client's actions. Any question on solution-focused therapy? Solution-focused therapy. Hello? Any question on that? Am I good to go?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. The next one there is task center practice. Task center practice. Like we said at the beginning, the models has to do with practical steps. Practical steps. So now looking at task center practice. Using task center practice, a social worker breaks down a solution into manageable tasks. The individual has deadline to complete the task and agree to meet them. Task-centered practice is a goal-setting form of social work that helps individuals make consistent steps towards improving their lives. Instead of focusing on the past, this type of practice encourages clients to live in the present and think about how completing certain tasks will positively impact their future. So this brings us to the last, models you want to look at. Remember I said that this course, knowledge, understanding, and skills in social work is just for us to have eagle eyes, an overview of everything that social work is all about. Model is a topic, or model and theories are just a course on their own. In the university, you have social work theories. It is a course, a 3-unit course at undergraduate level. But because some of us, we are coming from a background that is not social work, so that's why we just have to help us have this knowledge, have this understanding. So this course is exposing us, those of us who are not social workers, to what we need to know. At least when you are outside and people are talking about models, you say, yes, you just say the practical steps you mean. So the person will know, okay, at least this person is a social worker. And when they are talking about theory, you understand, though you didn't go to university to study social work at a degree level, at least this course has opened your eyes to some theories, some models that we use in social work. So that is that about task-centered practice. So if there's no question on that, like I said, we move to the next subtopic, the C-step problem-solving model. Like I told us before, that problem-solving model, there is C-step problem-solving model, which is very similar to what we saw in crisis, solving model. And I said this C-step problem-solving model is applicable even to all the models we have talked about, because it only explains the role you play as a social worker and the role that your clients will also play. Single-handedly, a social worker cannot bring about a change in the life of his client or our client without the cooperation of that client with him or with her. So now I want to look at the 6 steps problem-solving model. 6 steps problem-solving model. Defining problem. Do we know there is difference between problem and social problem? A problem is very important. I know somebody wants to bite me there. How can this man say a problem is very important? To a researcher, problem is his joy. Okay, let me tell you this. I have a big brother when I was an undergraduate. He's a big lawyer. So we were going somewhere and we saw people fighting very close to a police station. And I was like, why are these people gathering around them instead of them to separate them? The man said, no, let them fight. Let them break themselves head. So they will take them to police station. Then that is when people like us will eat. So if you are saying to a lawyer, may we not see case? No, say the man no go say amen. Because as you are praying that, Lord, may we not fall sick. Do you know you are praying against a medical doctor? That your prayer is a cause for a medical doctor and a nurse. Am I making sense?
Yes, you are.
And when you say, may we not die, it is your prayer, God will answer it. But do you know it is a cause to somebody who is selling coffin?
Coffin man.
You get it? So as a researcher, wherever we see problem, that is when we go into it and make research. So a problem is very important for researchers, social scientists, and pathologists. That is talking about diseases. Problem is defined differently from different academic disciplines. That is sociology, education, psychology, social pathology, and social work. From the social work perspective, it is when we are having trouble, and due to that, we are not comfortable. It's breaking our daily routine work, and we are trying to come out is considered as a problem. And that is when you, a social worker, will not be glad that you are working. Because if you don't have such problems, you won't have clients in your office. You have anybody to attend to. And your organization will say, we may need to downsize. So one man's problem is another man's employment. I can remember in my secondary school, when a teacher, my economic teacher now asks us, now what are the economic importance of mosquitoes? Say, what is wrong with this man? Economic importance of mosquito. Does mosquito have any importance? But later we got to know that mosquito is putting food on many people's table. Because of mosquito, the insecticide companies, they are still in the market. Because of mosquito, the doctors and the nurses, they are still working. Because of mosquitoes, researchers are still working. So that can we now see the economic importance of mosquito? Am I making sense now? You no answer me.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So
now, as problem has a very wide scope, various extensive literatures available on this. Please, let's mute our mic, Mr. Godwin Ubigu. Please mute your mic. We are talking about Merriam-Webster dictionary. They know that problem is something that is difficult to deal with, something that is a source of trouble, worry, etc. Social worker, writer of the book of social work, social case work, a problem-solving process, Ellen Harris Spelman, 1957. Create the problem-solving model. She explained in problem-solving model that a social worker helps individual to identify a problem, and he or she creates action plan to solve the problem and provide the solution. According to Palman, social work perspective, problems are the unmet needs. According to H. Palman's social work perspective, he said, social problems are the unmet needs. So, when our needs are not met, left the same. Who is this now? Akim, what are you doing now? Huh? Please take everything off. What's all this? So Palman said problems are the unmet needs. So when our needs are not met, left the same, and those needs grow as problems. So here our needs and problems have close relation. In this way, we have to understand common dimensions of problems. Sometimes a problematic situation leads us to face problem, and if problem remain same with no solution, can lead us to critical conditions and ultimately create vicious circles around us. According to Docker 1945, state that problem arises when a person has specific aim but does not know how to achieve it. According to this definition, we can analyze problem as a person who has aim but does not know the way to achieve it. Haven't you seen children? They have something in their hand, but because they don't know how to open it, they begin to cry. That's a problem to that child. The bottle is in his hand or the container is in his hand or in her hand. But he or she cannot open it and they begin to cry. At that age, inability to open that container is a problem. It is an adult that is around and that's okay, bring it, let me open it for you. Then that problem is solved. So going by the definition of Docker, inability to provide solution to a problem. According to this definition, we can analyze problem as a person who has aim but does not have the ways to achieve it. That's according to Docker 1945. A problem in common parlance refers to barriers, interruption, trouble, issue, dilemma, obstacle, complication, and so on. Every organism has problem on this earth. Unlike any animals, we are human beings. In our day-to-day life, problems may be We got delivered from network issue in Nigeria. That network is just fluctuating. So like I said, there are 3 categories of problems. It can be individual problem, it can be group problem, then it can as well be a community problem. Scientific-based solution is needed for all these problems. Scientific-based means something that is systematic and research-based. And that is why we have come about these 6 steps problem-solving model. It is scientific, and research-based. Now we have looked at problems. Then we want to look at social problem. Because this field is a social work. Though we deal with individuals and we deal with group, we deal with community. That is why you have the micro, the meso, and the macro. At the level you are dealing with individual, you are at the level of micro. At the level you are dealing with a group, you are at the level of meso. At the level when you are dealing with the community, the society at large, then you are at the level of macro. But we want to look at what is social problem. At this point, I want to tell us that anything you see social attached to it as a prefix or as an adjective, you know that that thing is affecting the generality of the population. For example, power failure in Nigeria is a social problem. Poverty is a social problem. Anything that is affecting the generality, kidnapping is a social problem. So anything that is affecting the generality of the society is considered as social. It's a social problem. Like in sociology, you talk about social problem and sociological problem. And we said that all social problems are sociological problems. But all sociological problems are not social problems. Because what is considered as social problems are all negatives. But what is considered as sociological problems are both positive and negatives. If a sociologist is working on marriage, are you telling that marriage is a bad thing? No, but it is a sociological problem. Why we call it sociological problem is that it is not something that you just sit down and the answer will just fall on your laps like that. You have to undergo, different research, go to field, collect data, blah, 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 blah. So it is a sociological problem. That doesn't mean it is something that is bad. So that's why we said all social problems are sociological problems, but not all sociological problems are social problems, because social problems are only bad things, negative. But sociological problems are both the negatives and the positives. So when we talk about social problems, they are issues that affect the generality of the society, something that everybody is facing. Nearly everybody in the society. Hardly can you sleep in Nigeria with your 2 eyes closed. If you're on the road, you'll be praying, Father, may we not involve in any form of accident because of the potholes and all manner of things on the road. You'll be praying, may we not walk into the hands of men on the road, the what's it called now, the kidnappers and things like that. So all these we have mentioned, they are social problems because they affect the generality of the population. A social problem in any condition is any condition or behavior that has negative consequences for large number of people and that is generally recognized as a condition or behavior that needs to be addressed. So it is something that affects the generality. It's something that affects generality. Remember we said that there are 3 categories of problem: individual problems, group problems, and community problems. So the community problems here is what we are referring to as social problems. That's what we refer to as social problems. And it is seen by all as that, and which requires what? Which needs to be addressed. This definition has both an objective component and subjective component. Objective component and subjective component. The objective component is this: for any problem, for any condition or behavior to be considered a social problem, it must have a negative consequences for a large number of people. A current example is climate change. Although the overwhelming majority of climate scientists say that climate change or changes in the Earth's climate due to the buildup of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere is real and serious. Fewer than 2/3 of Americans, 64%, in 2011 poll said they think that global warming is happening. So the majority is seeing it as a problem. For anything to be considered, if you are looking at it from the objective point of view, it is something that the generality is seen as problem. But if you are looking at it from the subjective view of our viewpoint, it is when the people in authority see it as problem. So in Nigeria, there is no problem, because the people in authority subjectively are not seeing any problem. Remember when one president in Nigeria said, "Who told you there is poverty in Nigeria?" After all, he has never seen anybody that dies of hunger on the road. That was a president in Nigeria. I will not mention the name. So objectively, it's when the majority see it as problem. But when we are looking at it, even the majority are seeing it as problem. The people that will make implementation, they are not seeing it as problem. So that is subjective definition. For a president to say he has never seen somebody who died of hunger, so his subjective definition is that there's no poverty in Nigeria. So that is that. This type of dispute points to the subjective component of the definition of social problems. There must be a perception that a condition or behavior needs to be addressed for it to be considered a social problem. This component lies at the heart of the social constructionist. The social constructionist view of social problems. In this view, many types of negative conditions and behavior exist. Many of these are considered sufficiently negative to acquire the status of social problems. Some do not receive this consideration and thus do not become a social problem, because they did not receive the consideration by the government, by the people in authority, by the people in power. They didn't see it as social. It does not assume that position of being a social problem. And some become considered a social problem only if citizens, policymakers, or other parties call attention to the condition or behavior. So they won't see it as such. I could remember when Dimeji Bankole was the speaker, Ibadan to Lagos to Ibadan, road was so bad, terribly bad, potholes, death traps, and I didn't know where he was going, so he was not going by air. You know the kind of jeep these people use now? I mean, Speaker of the House of Rep. and there was a terrible accident in which his driver lost his life. You won't believe that the following week they started work on that road. That was when they saw it as a social problem. So that was a subjective view of it. They are not seeing it as a social problem. Once they are not concerned, why do we still have bad roads? Because majority of our policymakers and government officials, they don't ply the road they're applying. They fly and they carry them from the airport. They take them through the best road without potholes. So how will they know there is problem in Nigeria? In their house where they are living, the plants work 24/7. How will they know you people are facing the problem of, blackout? So that talks about the subjective view and objective view of social problem. Do we understand the two, please?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we can continue like that. So you understand the subjective and objective view of social problem. And you also
Yes,
understand,
sir.
and we also understand what is problem and what is social problem.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, the history of attention given to rape and sexual assault. We want to look at this as an example. You say, Margaret, please shut your video. Thank you. Margaret, close your video.
I'm on it, sir.
Thank you.
Mm.
So the history of attention given to rape and sexual assault in the United States before and after the 1970s provide an example of this later situation, that is subjective view. These acts of sexual violence against women have probably occurred from the beginning of humanity and certainly were very common in the United States before the 1970s. Although men were sometimes arrested and prosecuted for rape and sexual assault, sexual violence was otherwise ignored by legal policymakers and received little attention in college textbooks and the news media. And many people thought that rape and sexual assault were just something that happened. Thus, although sexual violence existed, it was not considered a social problem. When the contemporary women's movement began in the late 1970s, it soon focused on rape and sexual assault as serious crimes and as manifestation of women's inequality. Thanks to this focus, rape and sexual assault eventually entered the public consciousness. Views of these crimes began to change, and legal policymakers began to give them more attention. In short, sexual violence against women became a social problem. You see, it was just happening, but it did not assume that nomenclature of being called a social problem. Until when some people stood up, a movement stood up and said, no, these are injustices against women, and that was considered a social problem. So we have seen the objective and the subjective view of what we call social problem. So we want to see the role of social workers in problem solving. We've been talking about problem. What is your role? What is my role in problem solving? Social workers practice in many diverse contexts, and increasingly their job titles are not social workers. You see them working in different environments and they don't call them by that name social workers. But when you see somebody that is being called child protection officer, the person is a social worker. They call somebody probation officer or manager. They have different titles being given to them based on where they are working. based on the institution where they are working. So you will find social workers in child welfare and mental health agencies, working with people with disabilities, in juvenile justice, crime prevention and rehabilitation, residential care, aged care, and foster care and adoption. You see them everywhere, but they may not be called social workers, but the work they are doing is social work business. Generally, we talked about social work practice taking place at various or different levels. And by this, it meant that social workers work with individuals and families, direct practice, which can be therapeutic or clinical, though this is less likely within a developmental social work model. With group of people, with communities, they work with group of people, they work with communities, that is meso and macro. Through group of people or advocating on behalf of sectional interest. And at the policy level, that's where you see them as macro. At policy level, to change unjust policies and practices and achieve a more just and equitable distribution of resources for those whom they serve. Social work is a profession in the 21st century's professions, according to a belief that has just emerged. It is like an ash-shaped container that give whatever is asked. That is what the field of social work is. It's a container that brings whatever the need is. It provides every solution to every problem. And it is like a knapsack on your arm, like that bag you hang on your shoulder, on your back. It gives whatever is hard. Despite many other professions, social work is a profession that committed to solve various individuals, groups, and community problems and bring positive change in their life. It is a profession that deals with both individuals and society problems. Professional social work is focused on problem solving and change. Professional social workers always concerned with the solution or prevention of social problems such as poverty, unemployment, alcoholism, and drug addiction, and urban slums, etc. They utilize theories of human behavior and social systems and intervene at the point where people interact with their environment. They work as a change agent in society and lives of individuals and families and community they serve. So we look at social work's holistic approach to problem solving. Social work holistic approach to problem solving. Like we have said before now, the problem could be solved at individual level, problem could be solved at group level, and problem could be solved at community or societal level. And the first one we are looking at here, micro level practice. At the level whereby we are dealing with an individual, that is the micro. We are dealing with a family, that is still micro. So problem solving is based on 3 levels: micro problem solving, meso problem solving, and macro problem solving. Before we continue on this, is there any question? Any question from anywhere? From anyone rather?
No questions.
Okay, Mr. Shola Egbejule. From another person, am I free to proceed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Before we start these different levels of problem solving, I'm too sure we have people who are on the field like Mr. Shole Egbejule. We've heard from Mr. Wanze, Anthony Wanze. He told us about how the what's it called now? The crisis solving model, what they do at least to make sure the action plan is being followed and the monitoring aspect of it, evaluation aspect of it on the part of the social worker. Mr. Egbejule, can you give us a field or practical example of micro level practice dealing with an individual as a social worker or dealing with a family? Because I know you're also on the field. Mr. Shole Egbejule. Mr. Shola, are you with us?
I'm with you. I just came in. The network has been troubling me, sir.
Okay, no problem. But what I'm asking is a practical question which has to do with your experience. I'm trying to ask about your practical or your field experience on how you have handled different cases at micro level, not at meso level. That is at individual or family level. Have you ever handled any case like that? Any problem at individual or family level before? And how did you go about it?
Okay, ask me the question, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, on a micro level, there was a case that came in. They came to meet me directly, and I wanted to do it officially, but they didn't want it to go that way because they know me closely. So I think that's a micro, right? In a family setting. The lady left the 3 children for the man. The last one was about 2 years old when she left the child for the man, and she went elsewhere. The man went behind. They are telling me the story for the first time when they came to meet me. The man went with his family to plead with the girl's family for her to come back, but she refused. With time, he got information that she was dating one honorable in the town, and he tried his best to bring her back, but he could not. So he went ahead and got another woman and was moving ahead with his life. So all children with him, and the family was assisting him. So along the line, the girl wanted to come back to collect the children. So that was when the issue came to me. And I was like, okay, what do we do now to settle them together? Because in my profession, the first thing is to bring them back. Because we believe in the home unit. The home is the unit. When the man and the woman, they are together, raising their children, one mind, one setting. Your mind cannot be in 2 places at the same time. So that's what we want for the child. But when they came in, things had already gone bad because the man had already taken his wife. And the lady has really done really badly because the information got to the family. So I was trying to really meddle up the situation and see how things could work out between both parties. So I called the children, asking them because they have child rights. The child has the right to where to be with, whether I want to be with the mom or the dad.
It's a matter of age, sir.
Hello?
I think that has to do with their ages too.
Yes, yes. She left the child when the child was 2. That was the last one. When the last one was 2. And the other ones, I think one was 8, one was 6 when she left, one was 8 when she left. And she left there for 4 years. So the one that was close to 3 years is now about 7. And he doesn't even know the woman to be his mother. And they were like, the family members were like, they were shouting like it was a setup. I said, that's not true. I said, the child's mind at that point, 3 years has not formed. It's what we call concrete stage in the child. When the child is 3, anybody tells the child that is the parent, that's the person the child will take as his parent because his mind has not formed as at then. So I closely called the child and asked the child, who is this woman to you? She called the mother by name and even ran away from the mother. That he does not have any connection with the mother. He doesn't even know that this is mother. The one that was 8-year-old, the girl that is now 11, and I asked her, will you follow your mom? He said, like. So the man now came to me directly and explained that even while we were raising the children, that he was the one doing the normal chores, taking care of the children personally. He said, but he loved the woman.
We are hearing you, Mr. Shola. Mr. Shola,
Hello?
we are
Hello?
hearing you, sir.
Hello?
Yes, we are
Can you
with
hear
you.
me?
Yeah.
Okay. Invariably,
Mr.
I
Abba,
want
Mr. Abba Mohammed, mute your mic.
Hello?
Please
Okay, sorry,
continue, Mr.
Hello?
Shola.
sir.
Mr.
Okay.
Shola, continue,
Invariably,
please.
we could not meddle. Okay. Invariably, on the macro level, I'm telling you, invariably, we could not really bring things closely because one, the mother wanted at least two of them to be with her custody, but they had no relationship with the mother. And I was even asking the children now, would you love to be with your mother? When a child is lying, you will know as a social worker, especially a psychologist, they don't want anything to do with the mother because finance is coming from the father, the care is coming from the father, everything. The woman was in the same town with those children. She doesn't even visit. She just visits like when she likes. You can maybe like once in 5 months. So that's a part. So what we try to meddle up there is that we saw that a lot of things were so bad and we wanted the relationship because you cannot deprive a child of the mother's relationship, whether no matter what, because one, the mother does not live in a brothel, and two, the mother is not mentally ill. So we want the connection of the child and the mother back together. So the man was unwilling to accept that connection. That was where the bridge was. We wanted a relationship that we spoke to the mother and said, you create a relationship out of your own will. You come along, you buy gifts for the children, spend time.
Mr. Shola, are you done?
Especially the one that you left at 2. Especially the one you left at 2-year-old. The emotional bank, there's what we call emotional bank as a psychologist. That child is emotionally bankrupt in terms of feelings because there's a part a mother plays, a role a mother plays in the child's life that you really feel the emotional bank. I will not go deep into that. That was what they saw in Hitler when he rose into power and he had to destroy. He did not harness the feeling because his mother died when he was a child. So we wanted to meddle it up, but the father stopped it. So I said, right now, there's nothing I could do. The child rights, the children doesn't want to go and meet the mother. Then in terms of the father, the relationship that the mother has to have with the children, you do not want it because we spoke deeply that the child must have access to the mother. The family was strongly against the mother having access to her child. So I spoke to the whole family, both the man's family and the man. I said, people can go to court because it is the mother's right to have access to our children. That's what I did on the micro level. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Mr. Shola, for that field experience you have shared with us. Can somebody say something to this micro level Mr. Shola has mentioned about and
Yes,
talked
thank you.
about? Can somebody say something to that which he has said before we come in? If we actually followed what he said. Adetuberu Oreoluwa, did you listen to Mr. Shola? Adetuberu Oreoluwa.
Yes, sir.
What can you say about the story you just shared with us?
I can yes, from what I heard, sir, that uh, they should they should try and create a relationship between the um mother and the child, which is very, very important. A child should have a great connection with the mother, with the mother.
Mr. Shola, because as a professional, you cannot bring up this. I can only say you went there as an advisor, not as a social worker. Because you can't provide a record of what you have done there. As a social worker, we meant to have a record. They only came to you as somebody they know, not as a social worker. Because if you are to live by that name social worker, then you must have made it formal and have your record. And as you have talked about going to court, you are making a referral. You are making a referral. But you did not do it as a professional social worker. You just did it as a friend or as a family friend that they know, not as a social worker. Yes, everything you said, and from the tone of your voice, it also shows that you are partly sided with the father. In this case, we are meant to be neutral. You said the woman went away and left the children. You are not even saying it as a reported speech.
Okay,
get
okay,
it?
sir. Let me come in. I did not take side. I did not take side. For maybe you are looking at the tone of my voice. I did not take side.
Okay, fine. But if such case will be recorded, because you don't have record for them, and you have rendered a social work service, but you don't have record, because that will have added to your work
On that,
in your office. I don't know if you understand my side.
I have a record. That was a personal record.
Can you present it in office? Do you have a file for them?
Yes, there is a file for it.
For them? Official
Yes.
file?
Yes, yes.
For that case?
Yes.
Did that make it a formal case now? But you told me, you said you wanted to make it official. They said no.
No, I did not make it official, but it's personal. Yeah, I have a case to read.
Okay, fine. Maybe you are the counsel by yourself for yourself and in yourself.
No. It was the normal stuff. It's a normal, as in they came to me personally. They didn't want it official.
That is the point I'm making. It is your personal file. It can only add to you, but not something that can be referred to in your office.
No.
It is not documented in your office. That is the point I'm making.
No.
Okay, fine. Margaret, you are raising up your hand. Do you say Margaret?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, ma.
Okay, sir, I have a question.
Okay.
I'm a field worker as well.
Okay, ma.
There's this case that came to my office last week. I think we trashed it last week as well. This man has a wife, but the wife is late. So he has 2 children. The second child, while the woman was giving birth, that was when she gave up the ghost. So, but before she gave up the ghost, according to the sister that came to document the case in my office, she said the sister handed over the children to her, that she plead that that was her last wish concerning those children. And what are the ages of these children? 4 years and a year and 6 months. So when they finished doing the burial and all that, those children were still staying with the late sisters. Those children are still staying with the late sister, with the woman that died, the sister, the younger sister. So she took care of them. She took those children as her own. This thing happened 2023. That was when she died. All throughout last year. So last month, which was May, the lady walked into my office and she was crying. And the man wants to collect the children from her. So she now came to meet me that she doesn't want the man to collect those children because the man said he wants to get married. As at last Saturday of last month, that was when he got married to a new wife. So, but before the marriage, he told the lady that after my marriage, I'm coming to pick up my kids from you. So after the marriage, the lady now came, the man now came that he wants to collect the children. That made her to come to my office to lodge a complaint. So when she came, I heard her own part of the story. She left. So we had to invite the man to hear his own part. Cannot just work with her own story. So when the man came, the man said, yes, actually that when the wife died, those children are with her. But now he coming back now to collect his children becomes a problem. She doesn't want to release those children for him. Okay, so I now asked the man that the reason why she doesn't want to, actually those children are your own. Nobody is disputing that fact. And the reason why those children, why your late wife's sister doesn't want to release these children, because of their new stepmom, they are not acquainted to her. They don't know her. And she, on her own part, she said, if the way she has been taking care of these children, this woman in question will be able to take care of these children. So that is why she will not release these children. But in the long run, the man now said, if she refused to release those children to her, that he will not take responsibility of those children. As since the children will be with her. But each time the children will come for weekends or holidays in his house, he will take full responsibility of everything. And I asked the woman, what your late sister's husband said, can you do what he said? She said if that is what he wants, that he'll be able to do it, that he will take care of those children. But for the fact that the man said he will not do anything, that he doesn't think is the best thing, is the best decision that the man is taking. At the end of the day, we reached an agreement that those children will be going for holidays in the man's house. We'll be going for a weekend in the man's house, and part of the holiday will be spent too in the man's house. But every other stay will be in the lady's house. So, sir, my question now is that I don't know if the decision I took concerning the holiday being shared between the both parties, I don't know if I did the right thing. That's my question, sir. Hello, sir. Hello. Hello, sir.
It may be network issue on his own part.
Okay.
Okay, I'm raising my hand. I'm raising my hand. I didn't want to actually, I don't know, before I was or should I wait for you?
Yeah.
Network is bad.
Nigeria is happening.
There's no problem with Nigeria. If you buy Starlink now, you don't have network problem.
So how many Wi-Fi lines should we buy?
It's not Wi-Fi. Elon Musk Starlink, buy it.
Hello.
Elon Musk. Yeah, sir.
Hello.
Yeah, welcome.
Hi. I've been with you. You see, I've been with you. I only muted my mic because somebody was talking. So now let Madam Praise mute and put down his hand. Her hand, rather.
No, I haven't asked my question.
Okay, who gave us that explanation about a family now? Okay, you are not the one.
No, I'm not the one. His sister.
It's Margaret, sir.
Okay. Leave your you can continue. You can leave your hand like that. I just want to say that you can see people sharing their case notes with us in this class. Either I like it or not, they have just shared his case note. Am I correct?
Yes.
They shared their case note. Like Mr. Shola shared his case note. Miss Margaret shared her own case note too. And before I will say anything, I have people who are also on the field. I want Mr. Nwanze to shed light, or except he has a question to ask separately. But if you want to say something on what Madam Margaret said, because Nigeria being a patriarchy society, you cannot decide for a man. But don't let me go there first. Mr. Nwanze, what do you want to say, sir?
Thank you very much, sir. This is very interesting, and this has a strong linkage to the course we are doing, where the models, the theories that we are doing. Because the truth is that if we don't have a deep understanding of these theories and models that we have discussed, then we would either be influenced by culture, influenced by the way we may not be able, at least if we have understanding of how to apply some of these models and theory, then we take the work to another level of, another scale or another level. I don't want to say professionalism, but another level. Really, as much as this case, there's another model that we call in the best interest of the child. For social workers, we don't do intervention based on discussion. We do intervention based on what type of model, what type of theory. Now there's a problem. We have done problem solving. Every case must be treated formally. Every case must be documented. Assessment must be done. And some of the theories that we are talking about, they are not theory in terms of theory. They are something that are supposed to improve the quality of our work. For example, the system theories will tell you that for any family, every part of the family must function. The husband, is he providing the resources that is needed? Is he playing their role? What is the role of the husband, the role of the woman? And if the woman is not there, what is the impact of the children? The most important thing that we need to do is an assessment beyond these people that are beyond the husband, beyond the new wife. The social workers need to have engagement with each of these persons. They need to look at it from the system approach, from the family approach. Where is the husband working? Who is providing for the household? What is the purpose? What are the reasons behind the person that says, I don't want to leave these children? But most importantly, every decision must be in the best interest of the child. And there's an assessment tool to look at this person that wants to take this child, is he in the best interest? Now, apart from that, the husband, does he have the resources, the accommodation to meet the emotional, psychological, and development of the child? And it is very important that no child, family is very critical. Family, poverty is not even a reason to separate families because of that emotional, psychological. Remember, is it Erickson's 6-stage theory that if from the beginning of the life of the child, if something happened, it is an opposite. If the child is being bullied, then the child will grow up to become to rebel, to develop to have some behavioral issues. So what I want to say is that all these models and theories we are talking about, this is what will take our work to the next level. And at this point, when you have cases like this, you want to say, okay, which of this model will help me analyze this problem so that we are not solving the problem on our head and say, oh, okay, the woman, the wife, okay, let the children stay. We are saying, okay, this model, this assessment, you write the assessment, you say, okay, what is the care plan? What is the solution? You visit all those areas that needs to contribute to these children, and you look at, okay, what is the interest of these children? Then that will be our recommendation. And sir, you talked about solution-based, which is strength-based theory. Within all these people, who are those people that have all it takes beyond the resources, their strength to solve this problem? That is what will make social workers to actually intervene to resolve issues in a level that show that we did not only take this problem just analyzing ourselves, but we have looked at different models, different theories to actually solve this. Thank you. I hope I'm taking.
Thank you, Mr. Nwanze. You can see when I decided to ask for cases, when I told Mr. Shola that You only handle the case as a family friend, not as a professional social worker. Whatever intervention you are doing must be documented, no matter how the pressure is. And that is what Mr. Wan says. He's not practicing in Nigeria. I think he's in Ireland or thereabout. And that is what it is. You can't just take away a child or children from a man that are not even assessed just based on what your late sister said, because it's not even documented anywhere. Maybe he didn't say it and you said she said it. Nothing to prove that it was said. And the man has not been assessed. You are not even giving the man any reasonable doubt that he cannot take care of the children, because he has not even housed them with the new wife for a month to see if there is any area of being maltreatment in the life of the children. You get it? So, and like I was saying at the beginning, that we can see how we are, sharing cases just in this class. This class is just meant for us to have knowledge, understanding, brief knowledge, but I've brought in case management into it now, case assessment into it now, because we are not going to be talking only theory. I just brought in this aspect. That's why I call on Mr. Shola. And I know we have few people who are also on the field. Like Mrs. Margaret has said, you have not even given that man any, you have nothing to say against that man, because he has not even taken care of his children after the death of his late wife. For us to say he has failed here, he has failed here, he has failed there. And like we have said, the theories and the models are there. If I ask you which theory you applied, which model did you apply, you get it. We must be professional as possible. And all our intervention must be properly documented. Thank you so much, Mr. Wanze. I don't care. Maybe anybody is going to call this waste of time. I don't care. But I think we all have learned something. This is the practical aspect of this course. Although we are not asked to have practical section, but I think it is necessary, because all is not theory. It is not everybody in this class that is a social worker or that has social work background. So you must hear from those who have been on the field, and from my own part, I've shared, I've contributed. But let's also hear from the colleagues in the class, at least those, and we are having international even experience here from some of us who are, who are in the diaspora, who are Nigerians. And it is still the same practice. What I condemn is what he is condemning. So it is a global practice. It is how things should be done. So thank you again, Mr. Anthony Wanze. Mrs. Mercy, maybe you'll be the last person.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to align myself with Mr. Wanze's assertion, because when I was listening to that case, I was just wondering where that case should have been referred to magistrates or high courts that deal with family issues, where that man will be properly assessed on grounds of best interest of the children.
For the children, yeah.
Because what I see from when that case is being analyzed is this, in African patriarchal society, a woman has no voice, much less the one that is dead. So the family of the dead woman are trying to just protect those children that they are not hurt because of their sister that died. So now, carrying that emotion, patriarchal emotional injury or trauma on the women folk, objectivity is thrown away, and then so objectivity is thrown away. So me having a law background, and also work with some NGO, and also having masters in social work, I think that case should be reevaluated again, because the best interest of the children should be overriding factor.
That is it.
Because if it is taken to family courts, where that man will be called in to say what is his annual salary, where does he live, and what plan does he have for the children, paying school fees and up to university level, because those children will get education up to university level. Those are the things that we pay down. Because if the woman said, I'm not going to take care of them and for any other thing other than when they come to my house, then that is not the best interest of that children.
It is not.
Those children. Because tomorrow, what if the enemy of this sister that took this sister die? What happens to them? Because nobody knows who is to die next.
That is
so there is a lacuna, there is a gap in that process. The best interests of those two children are not yet taken into cognizance. Remember their best interests succeed in their childhood to early adulthood, which is 2021, 22. So what happens to their education? What quality of education should they be given? What happened to medical care? Did that particular sister, except maybe is super rich, may not be able to adequately carry those responsibilities, and those gaps will be a sore issue between the both families, because what they have agreed to now is nothing in practice. Because when a time will come, they will ask the man, if you say you are going to provide when they are in school, go to their school and pay school fees. Trouble have started.
That's it.
So now, as anything concerning children, every country have a law that put their best interests above all adult interests, and I think that's what should apply in that case. I have seen a case where a man was violently towards his wife, and in that case, the case ended with attempted strangulation. When the matter went to High Court, the High Court said, anyway, if you can't even deal with your fellow adults, you have no business dealing with 4 years, a year and 6 months, and 3 months old baby. So while that woman was a student, they awarded the legal custody of those 3 children to the woman and mandated the man to even pay the money to court so that the court will disburse. Because the children are actually court ward, and the children belong to Nigeria as a country. Only that Nigeria have not woken up to start exercising their right, like the Igbo people are doing. Because in Igbo land, if you even touch their children, they will just come and collect them. Because they know that by the sovereign rule, everybody is owned by that country. The day Nigeria woke up to begin to operate in that dimension, then some social workers will lose their license. Because the best interest of child is always overridden by religion, by emotional, by whatever they are guiding with. Anyway, in the case I was referring to, immediately the children entered university, the woman released the children to return to their father. And their father began to behave that the woman should continue to carry the responsibility of the children. And the woman resisted it. No, asset and liability should be in one place. I have seen them up to university level, 100 level, finish up. They are now adults under Nigerian law. So that woman is not bound by legal custody anymore. The children are adults at 18. So now you are talking of young adults. Even without the both parents, those children can succeed beyond measure because their boundaries has been secured by them being in the university before releasing them. Because you cannot undo their JAMB admission. So please, my colleagues, why we are discussing these case issues is for us to also learn. If any matter involved with children, let the subsisting Nigerian law prevail above every other thing. In
Thank
the
you
best
so much,
interest
Madam
of the
Praise.
child. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have you all learned something today?
Yes, I have.
Beyond theory.
We're learning.
Beyond theory.
Yes, sir.
So that is the beauty of the class. So don't say this man did not continue.
Sorry to cut you, sir. Sir, but after she said all this, she didn't prefer what would have been the best solution to the issue
it now. Madam Margaret. Madam Margaret.
The best interest of the best interest of that child. What would have been the best interest?
The best interest, Madam Margaret, the best interest of those children were to be decided by family law courts, in the sense that if the matter is referred, they will call the man, they will ask the man, where do you work? Where do you live? What is your educational plan for these children? What is your welfare plan for you? These children. So when they access that man in that way, they will now know whether the man is capable or not. And however, remember what I said before, what is informing this the family of the deceased woman coming in is because within our traditional patriarchal setup, even the living women have no voice, much less the dead one. So they are trying to just like be with those children to make sure that those children are protected. However, it is problematic because if the man is saying, I am not going to pay school fees, I am not going to see for medical care, how long will this deceased family be able to sustain that? But if they take it to a family court will now mandate that man to do those things. He will be under the law, of which if he did not follow through, that man can be taken for contempt of the court.
The wrath of the law.
Yes. And even if he maltreat those children in future, those children can as well speak up and as well report. But
Thank
now,
you so
the
much,
man
Madam. Thank you so much, Madam Praise.
Wow, mommy, I
Okay,
like this
thank you so much.
one.
So,
All
by
right.
the special grace of God, we will continue next week. I know the class is becoming interesting. We will get more cases, to analyze in the class. Please
So
don't
next
feel
week is
shy
our
to bring up. You see,
presentation, no?
next week is your
Seminar presentation.
Nzubadiro. After your seminar presentation, we can still meet. We can still talk. Is that okay?
It's ending by 4. Okay, sir.
Don't worry. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
a wonderful weekend and continue your holiday. Madam Mercy,
sir.
please, thank you. Mr. Wanze, thank you. And Madam Margaret, Mashallah, Ali for sharing.
Thank you.
The cases
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Yeah.
Dr. Day is greeting you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your contribution.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
It's not your food is here.
Blessing or what? As a blessing or what? Choose